So I'm going to talk about my childhood and upbringing, and various anecdotes from that period. Um, uh, the first school I went to was a private school, and I remember being very, like, I guess, judgmental of the other people there. And I would go to the park. I would go camping. I would go to the oh no, this was during that period. I made one friend that I still have there when I was very young, and my mom was a teacher at the school, so that's why I was able to go, because we got a discount. And I didn't really um well, I didn't really fit in, but in comparison to going to other schools later, I definitely fit in and I felt at home. We had multi-age classrooms, so they were color coded. So there was yellow, blue, purple, and red. And when I was in the blues, I would go to the purples during free time. And I just tried to change it up, like change it from, because I think that's cringy that it was like yellows, blues, purples, reds. So I tried to change it in this live stream for this viewer that I have to just the singular color. But right after I slipped up, I said blues. What are you gonna do? So it was called, it was the Susquehanna School. So then, it was okay. It was like non-graded, so we would have like a report that would go home to our parents, I think, something like that. But besides that, there was no measure of how good we were doing. And I don't know, I think that kind of hurt me in the long run to have that experience early. I feel like my glasses are crooked. Well, yeah, so a lot of stuff happened. I would hang out with older people. I would really look up to them and want to be their friend. And I think one of them was my friend. His name was Brett. And we would walk around the perimeter of the yard. We'd walk around the perimeter of the yard. I think I wrote a poem about that, actually, called Perimeter. And so I'm putting out my Black and Mild here. I've had enough of this. So the school closed. The school didn't have enough money. So the school closed down, and then I went to elementary school, Thomas Jefferson Elementary School. If you want to dox, well, you wouldn't dox me because I don't live there anymore, but you could establish some sort of paper trail, and then that would lead you to my true identity. So the school closed, and I went to Thomas Jefferson Elementary School for like, I think 2 days. And the first day there was a sub, and I thought that was cool. I thought she was nice. And then like the next day, the real teacher came back, and she was like really like hot, and she was really mean. And I didn't like it. I didn't like that conjunction of traits very much. So I told my mom I didn't want to go to that school. So she was fine with that. I remember I watched The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, and my mom made me like crackers with like cheese on top. That was good. And so yeah, I forgot to say this. So like during this period, and like definitely like after I started, oh, so I was homeschooled. Yeah. During this period and after I was homeschooled, I would definitely like I would like create these like fake relationships in my head with like random girls that I saw, and like fantasize about like going up to them and like professing my love to them. Um, and then I think in Susquehanna school, I had like a crush on this one girl, and like she like her friends found out about it or some shit, and like I don't know, it wasn't very good. I was kind of ugly for like a long time. Um, so I was homeschooled, and then I went to like a homeschool group, and then all the other kids were just a bunch of weirdos, which didn't really help me either. Even though you might think like I would be like right at home or whatever, but what that wasn't very good. And then I'm just gonna skip over the homeschool period because it was just kind of yeah, it was okay. So then in middle school, 6th grade, so skip forward like a couple of years. Like five. No, I couldn't. Yeah, it must have been like 5 years. No. It was like 3 years. I think I went to like or 2 years maybe. I think I went to 3rd grade for 2 days. That seems sort of right. Fuck, that's crazy. So I was like in isolation essentially from the real world. And like my homeschool is just bullshit. I'm not gonna because it was my mom. I don't know. Like you can't really take anything your parents say seriously when you're a kid. I don't really fault her for being a bad teacher. I just feel like I didn't really remember anything she said to me ever. Um, and I wouldn't remember any of the stuff well, actually that's not true. I remember I learned about the Holocaust a lot when I was homeschooled, and I still remember a lot of that stuff sort of. I think I made a timeline. Yeah. So then in in middle school it was really bad. I cut myself a lot. I cut my arm a lot. I would cut my stomach open with glass once after getting pushed around and like pushed into the snow and shit. And I'm like and then 7th grade was was better than 6th grade in some ways, and then it got really bad. I don't remember why. I don't remember a lot of this stuff. And then in 8th grade, I had a really good English teacher who I liked a lot, um, who became like a mentor to me. And I showed him my first poems in 9th grade when I started really getting serious about writing. In ninth grade was pretty cool. I had some good teachers. Started smoking weed and drinking and doing drugs and like snorting pills and shit. And that was really cool because then I had like a reason to be like around people and like have friends and stuff because I was known as someone who did drugs. So they were like, oh, this guy who we made fun of in middle school, he does drugs now, so that's cool. And in 10th grade, that English teacher died. He had like a heart attack, I think, from using too much Adderall and exercising. And then I was really fucked up about that. And then like I remember I got involved with this girl. She gave me a hand job, and I remember like talking to her about that a lot, and like we started texting a lot. And then I eventually was like, I think I like this other girl, and then she would be like crying or whatever, and then we would like make out or whatever, and she'd be like, do you love me? And then I would be like, yeah, I love you. And she was like, oh, I didn't think you were gonna say that. And then I don't remember exactly when, but at some point I would just cut off all communication with her because I felt like she was unattractive at that point. She gained a lot of weight, and I felt unattracted to her. And then in 11th grade, I met another girl, and then we dated for a really long time, like 2 years. And then that really like fucked me up because I was like, imagining the beautiful life we could have shared together and stuff after I broke up with her. Again, because I wanted to have sex with other girls. And I didn't have sex with anyone until like 2 years later, where I had sex with this one like schizophrenic girl who I actually knew from Susquehanna school. We were like best friends in Susquehanna school. I totally forgot about that part that was the private school I went to when I was young. So me having sex with this girl who is completely insane was kind of like my way of like getting back to like how I felt, I guess, back in Susquehanna school, because like she knew me from that period. So it was like, I don't know. And she was in an abusive relationship. She got out of it after meeting me. Like I like my presence in her life allowed her to be able to break up with this person. And I was getting drunk all the time. So this is after, I skipped a lot. This is way after high school. This is like, I spent a year at my parents' house after high school as a dishwasher. And then I moved to Binghamton, where I went to school, because my parents had moved to Beacon, New York. So then I moved back to Binghamton. I'm going to share this on Twitter again. See if we can get 2 people in here. It's getting good. It's getting juicy. There's a bug on my screen. My tweet has been posted. This is good. It's like 15 minutes. What can I say? What can I say for myself? I was getting drunk a lot. She said that I was being bad. Her mom was also insane. I lived with them for a while after I moved out of my apartment. Her mom like planted like fucking like heroin on me, like on my shit, to make her daughter think that I was bad or something. Like she was doing heroin, and then she just like, I think that's what happened, because I was up really late and I heard her sneak in and like put it on my shit, and I didn't really know what was going on. And then like later on I found out like my mom found this. And I was like, I don't really know what to say. Like, yeah, I was drinking a lot, drinking every day. Got kicked out of there. Just got kicked out. So she was going to kick me out. The girl was going to kick me out because of all this shit. And then I talked to her and went for a walk with her, and she was not going to kick me out. And then her mom really wanted me to get me out of there. I don't really know why. But her mom was like, I think things would be a little bit more a little bit simpler if you moved out. So I was like, well, fuck, I don't have any money. I was selling weed, and I had smoked all my weed to sell, so I didn't have a source of income. Was some fucked up shit. Like I paid money to somebody, and he got like this deep web weed that was really good, but he didn't give me as much as I paid for, and he gave me shrooms, and I was gonna sell the shrooms or whatever and try to make up some of the lost money, but I ate them. That was good. I watched this movie. Oh yeah, I was doing acid at this time too. I had a lot of great experiences listening to Frank Ocean, thinking about art, thinking about how everyone's really fucked up and sad and anxious all the time, and like I could like, you know, feel it looking at the nature, looking at the little hallucinations. Um so I I was like, I don't have any money. I was talking to I visited my parents, and I was like, I'm getting kicked out. I don't have any money. Can I stay with you? And they were like, maybe you should think about some other ideas where you could stay. So then I stayed with my friend Jeff for a while, but that was just like on his floor. I was working as a busboy. I was smoking cigarettes. I was smoking weed. I was doing dabs. I was doing oxycodone pills a lot, taking Klonopin. You know, I wonder if I'm on the right Wi-Fi. No, I'm not. So this is probably all laggy, and you can't even hear what I'm saying. Well, I'm glad that you stuck around, whoever you are. I wonder if they sent anything in the text. Let me say, fuck. Hello. So then I'm back with my parents. For a while, that was pretty interesting. I felt really rich to finally live in a nice. I mean, it's not. You can see it behind me. It's not like it's one story. But you know, it's got nice furnishings. You know, it's cheaply made. I don't know. It was a nice house, and I was drinking coffee every morning. I wouldn't usually get that. Good coffee. I was drinking good coffee. I was feeling great about life. I got a I got a job doing landscaping. That was terrible. I would I would be in pain all day because I was too tall to use the weed whacker and the lawnmower effectively, or maybe my posture was bad or something. I don't fucking know. It was hard. He would yell at me. I would I would like talk to myself like fervently under my breath, like this is fucked. Like I'm like fuck. I would always hit my head on branches. I would not be looking where I was going. I would have the weed whacker. I would just hit my head on a branch real quick all the time. Probably jostled my brains. Just kidding. I think my brains are fine. In case you were concerned. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go back. I think I'm gonna because now we're almost caught up. So after I catch up to the present day, after I catch up to the present day, I think I'm gonna go back down to a certain point and talk about the past if I can think of anything. None of this was prepared. All of this was completely off the top of my head. I just have I have this undying desire to share. So yeah, As soon as I turned 21, I'm 22 now. As soon as I turned 21, I started drinking. I think pretty soon I started drinking at least a couple times a week. So I was buying a bunch of Japanese designer and streetwear clothing at the time because that was what I was into. So I was spending a lot of money on that. I had like $2,000 or $3,000 in the bank. Spent a lot of money on that. I spent a lot of money on cigarettes. Spent a lot of money on alcohol. A lot of those times are kind of fun. I wasn't really doing much of anything with my life. Um, and then I started making beats, which was really good for me and my mental health because I was able to reach a new audience of people and get like sort of a following and like collaborate with artists, and like people liked it. People thought I was unique. People thought I was new. People thought I was doing my own little thing. Um, and that I was drinking a lot and blasting my beats really loud when I was drunk on headphones. I think I fucked up my ears from that. I have to, like, my left ear is deaf, or more deaf than my right ear. I'm sorry if this comes across as like a sort of victimization of myself. I don't really mean it to be that way. I'm just kind of talking about my life and being a little jocular, and also just telling the truth. Just telling the truth. Yeah, so started drinking a lot, started making beats. What else? Fell in love with this one girl, kinda, and got really upset when she stopped talking to me. She got a girlfriend. We still talk sometimes. I'm not in love with her anymore, I don't think. Spent a lot of this time thinking about my ex. Like, I remember, see, this is going to be my first going backward in time. So I'm going to go backward to when I first moved out of my parents' house. I was living in an apartment. Really small room. But it was far. It was like living on a space station, basically, because it was just like this small room with a bed on the floor, or a space ship, I guess. It was awesome. It was right next to the door. I could go out, smoke cigarettes, go to my friend's house. I lived on the south side, so I had to walk to the west side to see all my friends. That was lit. I got to walk for like 2 hours, like an hour and a half, maybe. 45 minutes? I don't know. It's so long ago. It was like 2 years, 3 years ago. So, yeah, I remember just sort of lying, like every time my life would go badly or I would get depressed about my writing, because I was writing a novel at the time, which is something I didn't talk about. I was writing a novel. I'd gotten sick of poetry. I was writing a novel about my life. I was, it had characters from my life in it, but I had fictional sequences too. I changed all the names. It had a very unique writing style. I never showed it to anyone, except for excerpts, and they liked them. Oh yeah, I can go back, talk about my one relationship. So in 11th grade, I started dating this girl. We lived sort of far apart. I didn't have a car, so we would visit each other a lot. Her parents were really abusive. She was really crazy. Um, I would get really fucked up on coffee, and I would say things to myself like, and I would um, work out a lot. I got really buff. I gained like 30 pounds of muscle. She really liked that. She broke up with me a bunch of times, and every time I was like, I don't care. And the whole point of her breaking up with me was to make me care. And I did care, but also I felt freed by it. And I would say things like, I can't wait till we break up for real. And there were definitely times when I was very much in love. I lost my virginity to her, like sex, actual sex. Um, we had a lot of good sex, I think. She said I was really good at it. Um, I really enjoyed it. She wanted to have too much sex when we visited, which is understandable, but I just couldn't. Um, which is probably part of what made me break up with her because she felt like that meant I didn't love her, and like at the end of our relationship she would say stuff like, I'm the only person like kissing you and like touching you while we have sex, like you just want to fuck me from behind, shit like that. And I don't think that was true. um it was very important to me, and she still hates me, but that's fine. um so let's go back more. I found a church, well, two churches actually, that were really important to me. The first one was the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Binghamton, and that church, I went to the youth group there, and I went to the youth conferences, which is like a meeting of that church and other um, Unitarian churches in the area. I wonder what became of a lot of those people. I bet a lot of them just kind of ended up like me. A lot of them, I think, did very well in their lives because they were more privileged than I was. Or I don't know. I shouldn't do that. I have some privilege. I always have, as you can see. Um, yeah, this is getting kind of dumb. I might hop off, but it's been nice.